Yeah, let's do another one. That was such a weird game though. Like we did the exact same thing every turn for the first like 6 turns of the game or something like that. Then I played a pretty good trump in Megantic Sliver, but he had Battle Sliver plus Thorncaster. So I think he was a little bit ahead the entire game, but that being said, I definitely made some key mistakes there. Alright, so we have Survival of the Fittest, which is good because that means that I can start cycling out my bad slivers for the good ones. There's a Megantic. We may just discard that because I'm at 3 lands now. Who knows when I'll have enough. Unflinching Courage is a little bit risky until he shows me a Pacifism or a Face Fetters, because there's so much removal in these decks that you just never know how often you're going to encounter it, and I don't really want to get 2 for 1 or anything. But I mean, it's really important to just play this card when neither player is up. Alright, that's pretty good for me. It's important to play this card when your opponent's tapped out and you know that you can get a hit in, because then you gain 4 life and you hit them for 4, and it's kind of a big swing. It's not really worth a card, but it is almost worth a card. Alright, so let's see what he's got here. Hopefully it's actually... do I really want it to be a Blur Sliver? Alright, Sliver Contract is way better for me. So hopefully I will draw a land here. No land. Not great. Yeah. So I could play Unflinching Courage, but I think it'll be better to just attack in and play a Sliver Construct. So yeah, I haven't drawn any lands this game. Kind of annoying. Ooh, I could discard Megantic, go get Predatory? Interesting. Intriguing. Should have done that before I attacked. So because of that reason, I'll play my Sliver Construct. I don't really care about casting my Sliver Construct because I do have this Megantic, which is basically just dead in my hand. My opponent will kill me before I'll be able to cast that thing, I think. Alright, so he's got a Blur Sliver now. Can't really do much with it, though. Hope he doesn't have a Shock, because that'll be super awkward. Yeah, I don't really want to lose this Steel Form Sliver because it completely turns off his Shock, and he did just, it like automatically left a red mana open for him. So that tells me that there is a possibility that he does have a Shock. Man, this is just not working out. Alright, so we are going to still do this because it'll still be a 2 for 1. Actually, it'll be a 3 for 1 if he's got a Shock. Thankfully, my +0/+1 bro is saving my ass here. So he could double block and shock it, but yeah, that'll be fine. If that's the best thing that he can do, then I'm okay with it. So we got Bifurcate, which would have made the get the Predatory Sliver play really good, but if I'm putting him on shock, then getting a oh wait, no, Predatory Sliver is fine with shock because I have this Steel Form Sliver out, which will be a 2/3. I forgot about that. I think that I probably should have just done that instead of done the Sliver Construct play, or the Unflinching Courage play rather. Alright, he's setting up his mana here, which could be bad for me potentially. If I do draw a land, I don't really care. I'm just dropping Bone-Sized Sliver. Yeah, like that'll be fine for me. If he's got a shock, he can take out my Steel Form Sliver, but he has to lose another one of his dudes, and he has to make a pretty good block. But we didn't draw the land. We did get an excess Bone-Sized Sliver. So what are we gonna do here? We're gonna go get a Predatory Sliver. And we're gonna cast it. So yeah, take that, jerk face. And I'm gonna hope that he doesn't have like a Megantic Sliver for me next turn. Can't really attack with the Steel Form here, unfortunately. If he just plays Megantic and like holds back, then I'll be in bad shape. What's he doing? He's just chump blocking 2 damage? That doesn't seem smart. It does lead me to believe that my opponent's cards in hand are pretty garbage, He probably doesn't have 2 shocks, or he would have just double shocked this thing. Okay, I don't understand this block at all then. Fortunately, I'll be fine since I have my path. So I can either trick him and... yeah, I don't think that's worth it. Another unflinching courage. Yeah, so I mean, I can try and trick him and like get him to lose his blur sliver. Or I can... yeah, he'll probably just lose his blur sliver, but then I lose out on 5 damage to him. Let's see. It'll be 8-10. Oh, I'm so close to lethal. Alright, he's not going to go down to 1. I think this is better. And I have to think about whether or not I want to get something with survival this turn. I could get another... he's going to 1. Alright, so another predatory doesn't make much sense. Can't get hive stirrings with this. Does it make sense to activate this ability and get rid of one of my double strikers just to get a 3-drop sliver that I can play next turn for sure? Perhaps. That might be intelligent. But if I'm going to get a 3-drop sliver, it probably just makes more sense to get a predatory, because that's better than all the 3-drops that I have other than hive stirrings here. Right, he's got a striking sliver. It's a start. He's going to need a little bit more than that and a bifurcate. So, bifurcate, bifurcate, bifurcate. So he's still dead on board. Like, by a significant margin. Because I have unflinching courage, and he has a green and a red up, which means that he can't just drop a... What are you doing? Who are you shocking? Yourself. He's shocking himself because this game's over. Because he's dead on board. He can't beat me. He can't beat me! He's shocking me. Okay. Well, I'm glad you did that. Yeah. Oh, you almost killed me. Oh, shucks. That's insane. But now we can just untap and kill him. So that's good. Man, these sliver mirrors are actually pretty interesting. Even though the first game we had the same cards. Of course, we drew our 4th land. But yeah, I had to do some maneuvering. This game was pretty much mine from the start because of unflinching courage. But yeah, that was definitely fun. So, fine. We'll do another game. Maybe I'll end up splitting this video into 2. That might make some more sense. Because a full 4 games is kind of a lot for a YouTube video. Alright, come on, Quero. Alright, best of 3 series, me versus Quero. We're both at 1. Let's draw a new hand. Let's keep this one. Not great. I got 6 lands in it. Don't really need 6. But, yeah. So my opponent just have 67 cards, which is interesting because he still saw that play. Like, I'm still really surprised that he saw that, that he could just attack and kill me. Maybe he was just like, I'm just going to attack my opponent with all my creatures. And then all of a sudden he's just like, hey, he died. That's awesome. But I really think that he thought it out well and made a nice play. So a good thing to do when you have a 5-land hand, which I pretty much do every single time that I see one, except when I'm being lazy and stupid, like right now, is say, all right, if I draw land, can I win this game? And in this one, the answer is probably not, unless my next like 8 draws are all spells. So I drew 1 land, and luckily I got a spell this time. But he could have a shock. That doesn't matter. If he has a shock, he can kill my dude anyway. I don't think that there's any real reason to not attack here. But another good way to think of your 5-land hands, which is sort of the opposite, is if I mulligan this hand and I have 2 lands, will I be happy? Sure, whatever. If I have 4 lands, will I be happy? Well, if I have 4 lands, then then I'm going to have 2 spells because it'll be 6 cards. And this hand already had 2 spells, so then you're just losing a land for no reason. And these were two pretty good spells to be playing because it's a 2-drop into a 3-drop. And if I'm going to be down on cards, which I guess in this case I won't be, but I still... Ooh, that's bad for me. I need to draw a removal spell. Right now. Right now. Thank you. And that's pretty sweet for me, actually, since I can just attack with this thing and pretend I'm an idiot and get both of his dudes, hopefully. Okay, well, P's smarter than that. And yeah, we are just drawing our spells like it's our job. So he's played around Path more than once, which is really weird coming from a guy with that many cards in his deck. So it's a little bit confusing, but I'm sure we'll figure it out eventually. So I could have just Path his... there's a Sliver Construct, that's fine. Still have 3 power first strike. Hopefully he'll attack here. He can't attack. He's never gonna make this attack. Bifurcate. Sweet. Let's make sure it's tapping correctly. And I can go get another Predatory Sliver. I just think that this card is so bad, but seems to be working for me this game. So now we can actually charge in there with both of our big dudes. Yeah, this should be fine. Beating in for 8 with 2 Sliver Constructs. That's pretty sweet. Alright, so he's just doing nothing this game. I guess he's really putting me on Path, which is good on him, but I'm not going to pull the trigger on this thing because he might play like a Battle Sliver that I have to take care of, and I also... or a Bone Size Sliver that I have to take care of. So now he can attack with anything or everything. But I also just don't feel like giving him the extra lands, or I want to wait as long as possible before I have to give him this extra land. So, okay, so the only reason for me to Path something here is in case I draw Meganic Sliver on my turn, and I want to Path plus Megantic Sliver. But since he's been reading me for Path this entire game, maybe I shouldn't. Especially since I can't take away his first strike with 1 Path, since he has the first strike plus the double strike guy. I think that it actually makes sense to do it this way. Hopefully we'll draw something. Or we can just draw land. So, I can't really make any attacks here. Because if I attack with everything, then... well, I guess he can put like 1, 2 guys on a Predatory, and then this guy on the other Predatory. Eat both of my Predatories, and then take 6 going to 1. But then he still has all 3 of his creatures. He also has 3 cards in hand and 6 lands. So, like, now is a really tough decision because I've been saying this in the entire game, but I don't know how good my opponent is. So I don't know if he's going to see this block that he can do, putting both of these 2 guys on this one and then this one over here. Oh wait, no, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't lose any of his creatures. But there's really nothing, like, if I don't attack, what about the attack with just these 2? He'll double block 1, then take 4, go down to 3. I think that I just have to hold back here and hope to draw. Well, God, he's been playing stuff every turn. I just don't think I win this game, no matter what happens. But we're just going to charge in with the team and see if he can make the correct block. Because I don't really see a way that I win this game outside of me drawing into Mirror Entity or Megantic Sliver. Especially oh, okay, so we're good. Alright, so... unfortunately, my opponent turned a game from where he should have won it into one where he is most likely going to lose it just in this one attack, which really kind of sucks. But because you're playing these games, but to like use your mind and try and come up with the best solution. The interesting thing about this situation is, first of all, there's hidden information in that he has a hand. So I don't know what cards are in his hand. Steel Form Sliver is basically good enough, but and Bone Scythe Sliver. So yeah, that's going to be the game. So there's hidden information, but part of Magic is assessing your opponent and figuring out what to do based on how you view their skill level. So since I realized that my opponent, or I assumed that my opponent was not at a high enough skill level to see a block that I saw, and with the risk-reward ratio being very, very high for me, the reward, whereas the risk was high and the reward was high. See, the risk was that I just lose the game on the spot, take him down to 1, and then all I'm left with is a couple of Sliver constructs, and then he has 3 creatures, and then he's untapping with 4 cards in hand and 7 mana. So that's the risk, and the reward is that I basically win the game if he makes a bad block like he did. So the issue is, if you look on the other side, what are my other options? So my other options are basically just to wait and hope to draw something. So that just basically loses to my opponent having a card in hand with one of his 4 cards. I didn't have anything in hand, and I knew that, and I could have drawn something off the top. I got a Face Fetters, which probably wouldn't have impacted the game too much, but overall, I think I made the right decision, even though I knew that my opponent had a way to win the game, but it was just my assessing the situation and seeing that he had 67 cards in library, seeing that he made a couple of bad plays earlier. He did make that one really good play, and I applaud him for that, but it's seeming more and more likely that it was kind of just blind luck that he figured that one out. But anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed those videos, even though they got a little stressful and tense. I was about to say stress and tenseful at the end, but I definitely thought that they were fun, and it was a good exercise and a good way to showcase playing to the level of your opponent, since a lot of the times, this is just going to be a little bit while longer, but I think this is pretty important, and if you're interested, then you should keep listening. But a lot of the times, I'm going to give you a very simple example. So your opponent has got a 2/3 on the board, and he's tapped out. You draw your card for a turn, and you're playing like green-white, and your opponent knows that you might have Giant Growth or Show of Valor, if we're talking about the current limited set. So your opponent knows that you might have Giant Growth or Show of Valor in your deck, and you have a Young Pyromancer out. So Young Pyromancer is a 2/1, and basically all you need to know is that he's a very valuable creature, and that he's a 2/1. So, and your opponent has basically a useless 2/3 on the board. So if your opponent's very good, then they know that you wouldn't attack with your 2/1 unless you had a trick. So unless you had a Giant Growth as backup, or a Show of Valor, or something like that. Giant Growth gives +3/+3 at instant speed, and Show of Valor gives +2/+4 at instant speed. But basically something to enable your creature to survive, and that would basically just completely obliterate your opponent's creature. So that's one scenario, but then the other scenario is your opponent sees that you attacked, thinks that you've made a horrible mistake, and blocks. So the good player will know not to block because you're going to have a trick, and the bad player will know to just throw their creature right in front of it. I mean, of course, that gets a little bit more confusing if your opponent can figure out that you're bluffing. If you don't have the trick, or if you do have the trick, then they have to assess the situation, but I mean, it's just a simple example. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video and the little bit of blabbing on at the end, and have a wonderful day, guys. Bye.